this realm can be saved. Remade. In my image. King Gilgamesh, you seek immortality, but you found only death.
Hello you lunatics, I'm Z, and today we are diving into the 8.2 patch notes, the Tiamat patch notes that we all have been waiting for. I'm super excited. Let's see what it brings to the table.
So Tiamat is a primordial.
The card is freaking cool, guys.
They're always very interesting. They have
She
really,
looks
really
freaking cool.
broad and powerful abilities.
I'm curious if she's
Tiamat
gonna be
is
this
about
big,
She's about creation,
big boy.
Order out of chaos. There only was chaos.
She's
before
mage
Tiamat,
after all,
and
right?
obviously
So
kind of giving things.
it wouldn't
life
really
and
make
giving
sense
things
for her to be
unfortunately,
too big.
Those first gods
Oh.
they chose to rebel against her and fight back.
She's
against their
kind
parents.
of
So Tiamat
kind of
created
tall,
even
but
more creatures to
pretty
fight back
slim, I would
to
say.
fight back with, and we're going to be leaning into that.
Pretty
Her
slim.
visual and personality themes are really about kind of finding
That looks pretty
subtle,
cool, let's say that.
sweet spot in between a
There is a lot of
monstrous
freaking
creature
colors.
and a wise goddess. So she is a, her visuals are drawn from a lot of different animals, all kind of combined together. We wanted her to have a sort of a base form of a dragon or serpent, as she is described in her ancient mythology.
Yeah, like
but we
a
wanted to give her a lot of
dragon with a
She's
fishy.
got feathers. She's got fur. She's got
Yeah, and
different types of
feathers.
carapace. She's got a jellyfish sort of
the
fins.
tail is
And
one of my favorites.
The neck
Yeah.
reminds me kind of
all
the
sorts of things. And
griffins.
her personality is also conflicted in that regard. She's very calm and collected and neutral.
Griffins? The
but
griffs.
and she's kind
Right?
of saved
Am I
the
saying
Smite
that
world
correctly?
now, right?
Whatever.
But she's also very straightforward and powerful and demands respect, which
Yep,
different gods are going to take in very different ways, and we're going to be exploring that throughout the year.
All right, well, we've got a chance to look at the card, and this turnaround, like, her model looks absolutely gorgeous, but I'm about
Alright.
So, as is tradition for the update
Okay,
show,
she's actually
I will
throwing
give the reins
this
to Pawn
autos.
and
I
let him
thought
go
she would be
live.
spitting.
We'll talk about everything.
Holy. Holy, there is a lot of freaking things happening, and she has minions to summon. Oh. How many freaking abilities does she have?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. That was so much. Like,
Did Pawn crash the game?
Obviously
my
something
God,
crashed.
there's so much going on. Oh, that was
Classic
great.
Hyros.
Animations look so fluid.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, all-
The color and
Great.
tone
Already I'm
details,
freaking hype, holy
the whole
shit.
team really did an insane job. I mean, she's got, I think, the most abilities in the game.
Yeah, that's
actually.
true.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
true,
say,
Clumsy.
Would be an update show with you.
They
We didn't
recently
a
have
new
stepped up their game, like
supreme
seriously,
god
like the
for,
recent gods
the
were
most
really amazing.
abilities in Smite,
I mean,
so.
she's the
Well,
primordial
the
queen of
Tsukuyomi and
monsters,
Danzaburo
the first of the Babylonian pantheon,
were
who really
freaking
wanted
cool,
to do
yeah.
justice on, who
Means they
Tiamat
still
is,
are.
and so many different themes. I think the team did a fantastic
Yep.
job.
Yeah, and we'll be back in game.
Can
in just
give
a second,
yourselves a
chat.
pat
Going through
on the back.
Just again, Tiamat was just too strong. She's too powerful.
We had that conquest match running for like an hour plus or some 2 hours, so that's why we had to restart. But
Yeah, for
nothing
sure.
with Tiamat's kit. Although we expect you all to find some stuff on PTS as well.
Oh yeah,
Clumsy, you could give just kind of a brief.
I'll get
overview
my
of
hands
it
on the
before we
Tiamat
start.
on the PTS
The
for
core
sure.
rules, core themes.
that was really unlike.
Alright, let's just skip. Oh yeah,
So,
finally, I
amongst
was
that,
about
we
to
wanted
skip
make her
it.
a stand switcher, which in a way
Okay,
is
so
also
she's
very
stand
different
switcher,
with
that
how
makes
she
sense.
switches between two
And
different
if she
archetypes
has
of
this
mages.
many
You're gonna
abilities.
see that come into play with her passive, which we can get into in just a second, I think.
Yeah, so we're gonna do things just a little bit different here. We're not gonna go like in order of like actual abilities.
The
We're gonna
passive
start
meter
off
looks pretty
with the
cool
stance
too.
switch first, and then
Oh, yeah,
talk
I love
about
this
everything else. So,
colors,
first
as
up, we've got
much
Grounding
colors.
Dive, which is her ability 3 in flying
Much
stance.
colors,
Talk
me
to about
likey.
Grounding Dive, Clumsy.
Yep, so grounding dive is a movement ability and a mechanism to go into
Alright.
stances. So Tiamat goes between flying stance and ground stance. Grounding
She
dive,
covers quite
all
a
of her
distance with
abilities
that one.
transition to her with a leap, dealing damage when she hits the ground, and bringing
It's
her
pretty
to her
unusual
ground
to
stance.
for a mage to
It
have a
also
leap.
provides Tiamat one hardened scale, which is a part of our passive, which I'll get into in just a second.
And
But the
especially
opposite of
this
grounding dive,
quite
which we
long.
now use as the third ability in this stance, is rising flights.
Yes.
Alright.
So rising
Alright,
flight is also pretty simple.
I like
It's
it,
a
I
blast
like
energy
it.
that
This
deals damage to
already
enemies,
has a
sends herself
freaking
backwards,
tons
returning
of
her to
potential of
flying
outplay.
stance. Using grounding dive
And it's a
flight is
stance
the only
switch.
way to switch between these two different stances.
Yeah. Super unique. So
Dash
her
with the stance switch,
is
pretty
tied
unique.
to her ability 3, which
I
is her
agree.
movement ability. She can either leap in and go to grounded stance, or leap back and go to flying stance. So let's
There's
talk
a lot
about
of
the passive.
really unique
Go ahead.
dynamics though with the ability of having to use your movement ability to also change stances, because a lot of times you're using your movement abilities as a very reactive state, and then all of a sudden you've got to fight with like a different kit. It creates a really different feel for this character compared to all the other stance switchers. And also just take a look at how tall she is towering over that Odin while she's in her flying stance.
I know.
Yeah, she
I think
pretty
I'll
big.
talk about it in the closer look. So she's
She's a
taller
big
than all the
girl.
other gods, but not quite as tall as Jormungandr or Cthulhu. She's kind of in the middle ground there.
And her camera height is higher as well to match that.
The other thing to note in the two different stances is in the flying stance she is ranged at magic attacks, but in the ground stance she's actually doing melee attacks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. Well,
Kind
we
of
got
like
the
a
stance
Ulra.
switch, down. Let's talk about the passive.
Pretty
Death
cool thing that
Switch,
she's
like,
actually flying and
So,
walking
Tiamat's passive
on stances.
does a different thing in each of the stances, right? That's kind of the gimmick here. So in the flying stance, Tiamat gains health from nearby ally and enemy deaths. So that's any deaths around her, but a little bit less from minions. In her ground stance, she gains up to 5 hardened scales, and that's kind of the mechanism that allows her to be tanky in that
Alright.
stance. So gaining a hardened scale is actually damage mitigation that breaks after a certain amount of damage is taken. It also counts for nearby ally and enemy death, but not including minions this time. So mostly gods and like jungle monsters, large jungle monsters.
Alright. That seems like a more of a warrior-esque
So let's
kind
talk
of
about
passive
the
than
flying
mage.
stance abilities here.
But okay.
And we'll start off with Primordial
Interesting.
Onslaught, her ability 1 in flying stance. What's going on with this one, Clumsy?
Yeah, Primordial Onslaught Pod, if you don't mind me being an annoying one, can you
I do
set
mind.
level just so you have the ranks 1 and 2, then we'll go on from there.
I don't
Because
want
Primordial
people to
Onslaught,
be annoying.
Tiamat gains power, allowing her to
I'm
fire
the one
orbs
being
with
annoying
the
here.
the channel. Each orb stops on gods but damages minions and enemies on the way through, going through walls. And
Okay.
as you can see, as she charges up, she gains
Pretty nice
1 to 2
range.
projectiles. At ranks 3 and 5,
But I guess to be actually clearing the way, if you have to be
so at
like
rank 3, she goes from 1 to
right
4
into it,
projectiles.
like.
And then finally at
Yeah,
rank
so I
5,
guess it isn't like an
all 6
incredible
projectiles
range.
that continue through the entire channel.
Have to be right in the middle of the lane to clear it with the wave with it.
You can see her like beautiful cuneiform glyphs like around her back, kind of filling in as she channels. I think you did a lot of work actually to get that.
But yeah, the animation is
Yes,
fucking
this one
cool.
looks great. And I'm gonna ask Pawn to kind of charge up and kind of do a sweep as you fire, so we can see how the projectiles kind of interact with this one, because it's kind of unique.
Oh yeah, you can definitely change your mind mid-fire and switch targets.
Yeah. If you hit the
It's
same
like a
god with
freaking
multiple
machine
ones,
gun.
you are gonna be doing less damage per
Ba
successful
ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba.
So her primary range poke, this is going to do a lot of damage. If you walk into this and take all 6 shots in the late game, you're going to feel it, right? It's going to feel like a Scylla
Yeah.
Crash.
The number seems to
And
scale
one thing that's
down
well is that
as the
because
shots come
the amount
through.
of projectiles increases as you rank up that ability. Her early game,
Okay,
even though
so
she's
you have
a
less
stance
shots.
isn't actually the strongest, but we can get into that a little bit later as we talk about her hit. Now we can get to the second ability.
All right, yeah, let's talk about Ruination.
So Ruination, Tiamat creates an energy field. That's going to be what we call a double-rounded triangle.
That has really unique shape.
Enemies in the entire area, and then a larger amount in the inner area after another time to deploy. The inner area will then also stun enemies.
Okay.
So low damage and then high damage.
Reminds me of the ability from Heroes of the Storm that some character had similar. I may be not remembering correctly.
I called it out a little bit, but new shape, I'm sure people are hype about that.
Always. And both of these abilities are really exploring the sort of like primordial creation magic that Tiamat wields. It's not just like something that would...
Yeah, already you could see how her combo will work. With the stun into your one, yeah.
Really cool.
Pretty simple, but looks freaking cool.
Yeah, right.
Talking about kind of her.
But yeah, the stun is pretty slow. Huh.
It's time to talk about
So you have to be really quick on that one.
Children of creation. I appreciate it. I've been practicing, you know.
People were wondering how is Tiamat going to be summoning all these different creatures and how does she
what
have
is
all
this?
these abilities? Well, that's in the fourth. Her ultimate in the flying stance. If you can see right here, she's actually going to be toggling in to another stance, really, another posture, where she can now use 3 completely different abilities in this stance. They all will share a cooldown. The first one here is Summon Serpents, where Tiamat will place a Pit of Creation, which spawns Serpents of Tiamat that travel down the minion lanes, just like minions, just like lane minions. They attack nearby enemies. If you do them in the jungle, they'll try and attack things nearby before finding a nearby lane. 2 serpents spawn every 10 seconds, and the
okay, so she doesn't have a like normal ultimate.
Also, any enemies that are hit by the serpents will have their damage done reduced. These guys are really a new mechanism that we haven't really tried before, which is passive lane pushers.
That's freaking cool. I like it. I really like it. I was waiting for the god with minions like this for a while in Smite.
Per unique ability, as well as 3 hits from minions. So they are a little bit tankier to minions, and like I said, they apply that damage.
I always love the characters with their own minions and stuff. I like to have like your small servants to be walking through lane and doing her work for you.
It's a very unique ultimate in that you can choose which one you want. So
look at them, they're freaking smacking the shit out of that ultimate.
It's used by pressing 2 different buttons to activate the ultimate and then pressing another one to choose the creature. Similar as kind of the way you would do Merlin's stance switch choice.
Yep. Enemies also can actually stand on that Pit of Creation.
They look so derpy while walking.
Spawn from to actually destroy it early as well. That's if they can find it, if they can get to it. But in general, these minions will, if you actually see, they don't have a lifetime. They will keep traveling until they're killed by towers or the Titan.
I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say, so these serpents are persistent. They will push until they die.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that they're like a lifetime.
And yeah,
have to actually deal with them.
Waves of these minions. You can only have 1 of the pits out at a time. But from there, I think we can go into the second of Tiamat's flying.
Okay, so we can basically walk through the overline, create a pit.
A different one of her children, Kusariku, one of the ones in the stories, who stands guard at a target location. A little bit different to the primary purpose. Kusariku, or Summon Beast, if an enemy god gets too close, he will charge them and slow them and then attack them. He will wait guard to protect Tiamat and protect locations. So you can see he's just waiting there. But if there's a god nearby, he will
that is freaking cool.
And slowing them extremely heavily for 80%, but only for 1 second.
Oh, okay. That's really strong.
All of these children were.
That's almost like you have a ward, you know? So he just stays there and protects your left flank, let's say, or right flank.
Pretty good job of pronouncing.
Yeah, I know.
I hope I'm doing okay there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he serves a completely different purpose. We can get to him in a little bit more detail, and with his purpose. But I think we can go on to the third one of Tiamat's children, which is a little bit less of the normal.
And obviously you can use him aggressively just like that, but I think it's early game gonna be like defending you. What is this?
This deployable, it actually follows enemies before knocking them upwards and dissipating.
Oh.
So, Umujiburutu, the Violent Storms, is actually still one of Tiamat's children.
That's cool.
Yes.
The animation is amazing as well. All right.
On social media, you know, we love our distracted boyfriend meme here at Hi-Rez, and this is one that we were thinking about here. So it's kind of like Cuckoo Tornado, but not really. But it follows around. But again,
the 3 other spoiler tweets were actually the references to her 3 children. That
So
she
initial hit
responds to.
does
Those
more
ones are
damage and
kind of
then
more ancient,
way
Greek
lower
style
damage.
to
She
hit
has
speed.
quite a lot of CC.
Exactly.
She has the Soldier Boy who slows heavily, she has a knock-up and a stun so far.
Tiamat's ultimate children really provide a different purpose to her gameplay. Remember I said they all share a cooldown, so you can only use one at a time. So if you want to use those Basilisks to spawn and push down the lane, that's fine, but that means you won't have your Minotaur, your Bulwark there, who might help root down a single target if you're being ganked, which also means you might not have Umur there for when team fights break out, and you might want that AoE disruption.
Okay. Yeah, there is a lot of different combos potential already.
We've gone through everything in flying stance, so
Yeah,
let's
one more stance
transition
to go.
and
But wait, there is more?
Talk about grounded stance, and the first ability, probably the biggest talking point on social media after the closer look, is consume. Let's talk about consume, Clumsy. What's going on with this one?
So I love introducing this one to people because I just go, it's a simple cone, right? You consume, you just look at it, it's a simple cone, it deals damage and it slows enemies. But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
I really want to try something different here.
That's what I said.
Consume in the grounded stance, Tiamat can actually use this in minions, on large monsters and buff holders, as we're about to see, to execute them underneath the health thresholds.
What?
So you can see the little FX mark we have on those enemies.
Okay.
Instantly kill those enemies. Now, as you might have seen with this kind of
Bakasura vibes initiated.
to a buff holder, well, things get a little bit interesting. And I think I love seeing all the different ideas that people had when we said she duplicates buffs, but there's actually a little bit more to it as well. So Tiamat is able to consume and immediately gain one of these buffs, as we're about to see. Bang. She dropped a red buff in the world.
What the fuck?
As well. But there's a little bit more to it too. If Tiamat
What?
kills another jungle buff holder without using, well, not necessarily without using consume, if she already has consume a consumed buff, so
Will she switch to it?
she can then actually walk over and pick up a second.
What the
buff.
fuck?
Not only does
I
she
wish I could see
duplicate
chat
buffs-
right now.
Yeah,
What? What?
You're gonna be like, wait a second. What? So she actually is able to.
Two buffs?
Who will be able to utilize two different
That's
buffs.
broken.
They all have the maximum duration, and I know people are gonna be thinking this is just insane. But there's a lot of different things we did to make sure that this feels balanced. In fact, we actually started
Sure.
out with the consumed buff having like 20% of the duration, or 30 or 50%. But we noticed that trying to force this kind of gameplay, and even if you're playing her in the jungle, it's not the easiest to make use of this. Now, in other game modes like Arena or Joust, it might actually be a lot easier. But in Conquest, if you're playing in the mid lane or the solo lane, it may not actually be that easy.
Yeah, I guess you have to
get
travel
going,
from
but
one
like
buff to
people said, if you wanna
second.
drop a red buff, pick that up for yourself and let the support go ahead and grab that. Well, you're feeling pretty happy.
But
It's
yes,
generally just difficult.
Shield
You can't be
feels
everywhere at once.
pretty
You don't wanna
freaking
disrupt
strong.
All of your lanes starting positions and their normal jungle flow, just so you can get an extra jungle buff, especially not necessarily in the early game. But I'm very excited to see how the pros use this and when they do coordinate themselves in that way, and if they do try a completely different start when it's a Tiamat in the game, because then we'll really see.
yeah, I already feel this guy is
And I
gonna be
definitely,
incredibly
anticipating
strong.
if Tiamat is on your team, you're definitely wanting
But
to
definitely more on the higher end of
prioritize the
games.
Greater Scorpion to get those enhanced
You know,
jungle buffs.
high level ranked.
Pawn's got a good point here.
SPL
Another
and
thing you can see is that just like in the stories,
more of
Tiamat
the
will actually consume
experienced
her
players.
actual pets. So they will immediately be executable by consume. You can see those little
She
bullets.
is
And
pretty
what that does, if you
freaking
remember from the
complicated. There's a
passive,
lot
is
of
that
to
she can
her
actually
kit.
gain hardened scales, which is what allows her to have the extra mitigations when her pets die around her. So if she summons minions in the flying stance, her pets, and then goes into the ground stance and immediately consumes them, she will be even tankier. She gets 5 stacks of hardened scales. I know, it sounds like a lot, guys, but believe me, it'll all come together.
Yeah, right.
So much. All right. Well, that was consumed. Let's talk
I
about
already know she's
Outburst,
gonna be
the
broken.
second ability in grounded stance.
You're not gonna change my mind.
Outburst, a lot more simple. Tiamat slams the ground, creating seismic rifts that erupt in succession.
this another CC?
damaging and knocking up enemies.
Oh, another CC. Alright.
That's all it does, I promise.
That's it. Yeah. I was waiting. I was like, wait. Is
But
there
it's
more?
cool. It really looks freaking cool. Wait, it freaking knocks up in every hit?
We've already
and
talked
then-
about the
The
third ability, which
fuck?
allows her to switch stances, but then she's finally got her ultimate in ground stance.
It's
Yes.
huge area, guys.
Of undoing her
It's a big
ultimate
thing.
grounded stance. What does this one do?
Imagine like firing it in team fight, like holy shit.
Her, dealing damage in that circle around her that you see, and also a small dot effect to any enemies that are hit by this, gods and minions. Now, the other thing to note, just one small other caveat, is that when Tiamat uses and hits enemy gods, she also gains 1 hardened scale per enemy god hit. This ability is her main way of generating hardened scales outside of just stance switching. So we assume that you're not going to be using her pets and consuming them or people dying nearby. So you use this right after you've dived in on as many gods as you can to gain stacks.
Okay. I hope that this doesn't do as much damage.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Is super interesting and lots of stuff.
150 without items.
Lots of unique gameplay ideas and mechanics. How do you guys kind of envision playstyle recommendations, and where do you see her kind of fitting?
I mean, I guess before saying she's actually broken, you have to see scaling and the numbers.
She's definitely most likely going to be amazed that you see
on her abilities.
But I think she can definitely flex in between the solo lane with a tankier playstyle, or maybe even in the jungle if people really want to try and get maximum utilization out of consume. As I mentioned earlier, she doesn't actually have the strongest early game because she only has a small bit of clear with those 2 shots of her primordial onslaught. So unlike most stands, which was like Merlin or even R2, or
that makes sense.
Her early game is going to be harder to get make use by. Conduit Gem has helped a lot in the new season, but still, even with that, it's a bit rough.
Yeah, that's a great point. She is different.
Wait. But if you spawn those minions in a different lane,
at level 1, you have
is it gonna give you the golden experience from different lanes?
For you to take. So definitely interesting. That's a great
It's like a turret from Vulcan.
The other thing to note is I know you guys have seen this, a lot going on. We wanted to.
It's gonna be freaking a lot of farm for you.
I think it's
gonna work like this. Because yeah, look at the map. The minions are keep on spawning. So yeah.
It's all actually coming out over a longer period of time.
You're definitely gonna be taking some farm from the different lanes.
Summon beasts to slow down an enemy into ruination, into primordial onslaught, diving into enemies, and then using her entire combo there. That's still not maybe as much burst as just using
that's pretty sick.
Combo as Evo. It's coming over a longer period of time, and it forces you to jump into.
But they stopped spawning now. Interesting.
Thanks so much for going through everything, Clumsy. I know you put in a ton of work on Tiamat here, and I'm super excited for players to get their hands on the goddess.
Yeah, I'm super excited too.
Before we break, we do have, some recolors and mastery skins that we want to
Alright, let's see.
The first one, your standard recolor, is Azure Sea Tiamat, and we tweeted this art, and everybody immediately was like, who did this? This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. This was my favorite of all.
Holy fucking shit.
They're all really cool, but personally, this one speaks to me.
The storm and the...
It's just something about her rising from the depths.
The colors are pretty cool too.
And I love that we kept kind of the pinks, but it's instead of like the cyans, we go into like a deeper purplish here. This one's great. And we've got some voice lines that we want to show off as well. So let's listen to the first voice line we have for Tiamat while we look at this recolor.
Oh, let's hear it. Hi-Res.
It is flawed and full of corruption. I have arrived to cleanse the land and reshape it in my own image.
Oh, I love this. And then I got to give a shout out while we're listening to the voice pack to the audio team, specifically Chad. I know he took in a lot of work kind of thinking about the weight on both of all the audio effects as we transition stances and stuff like that for Tiamat. It's super awesome. But we've got the next recolor as a part of your Season Pass 2021, your first Ascended skin of the year. It's going to be Tiamat, and I love
that's pretty
like
cool
the greenish
too.
Yellows here. What do you think?
Yeah, they were doing an amazing job.
We had the different purples, and we've got these awesome greens. I love this kind of hue on this like crazy monstrous creature.
This is a very unique color choice, and I really like it. And I think it really appeals to the people who are looking for the more reptilian feel from her.
That's a good point.
Which is what I think comes through with this, which is really cool.
All right, let's take a listen to another voice line for Tiamat.
I see insects competing for supremacy, playing God. Let me show you where the God really is.
All right.
all these voice lines.
She seems pretty freaking cool, guys.
Great.
Let me tell you that.
Mastery skins for Tiamat will be available day 1 when she launches. So if you're
let's see those mastery skins.
Up, you will be able to unlock the gold, legendary, and diamond skins.
Damn.
Here's the card for the masteries.
Card
this one
art
looks so great.
Beautiful too.
Yeah.
I know. I love how she's just kind of grasping that energy and is just ready to onslaught someone and just like.
It's like a freaking whip. Whip it, girl.
We go in game here, see the turnaround, and I believe we have one more voice line for Tiamat. Let's take a listen as we transition to the legendary
as well. Shit.
You dare test your might against Tiamat?
No, we don't want to test our might against Tiamat.
I know, right? Yeah, I definitely do not. So there we go. And I believe we'll be transitioning to the legendary and diamond skins here in just a bit. Yep, there we go. There's legendaries.
Oh, these colors really pop on her, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
legendary always the best. Changed my mind.
So badass.
Not.
Yeah, I always think about, where are we gonna, do the color blocking for the creatures? Because with humans, it's in the clothing, it's kind of easier to tell, but the kind of liberties the art team takes for the mastery skins on creatures is really great. And we're going
we kind of just went all
skin.
out on the mastery color for Tiamat here.
Yeah. Yep, there's the diamond. There we go.
And the diamond looks pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I want that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Day 2.
Oh,
what is
yeah,
the challenge nowadays?
Might be even cooler than legendary, which is unusual.
First to diamond. I love getting those tweets.
Usually the diamonds are not as cool as legendary, but this time,
That is a wrap for the
Holy
goddess
shit.
of the Salt Sea. Lots going on with Tiamat. I'm super excited. I hope all the players are super excited.
Okay guys, that would be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you enjoy this type of videos, because I don't know, it's the first time I tried it, and just give it a shout out if you want to see more like this videos after patches. So that's it for me for now. I see you all in the next one. Bye bye.